Hello everyone, my name is Joe Ramson and I'm excited to be on Tech Byte number 3 with you all, focusing on content-specific resources that we can use in our classrooms. So today I want to talk a little bit about the Agriculture Experience Tracker, or the AET application. So to do that, we're going to go over a quick overview, we're going to go over the applications and a brief integration plan, and finally we'll do a quick demonstration on my high school AET account. So today's roadmap, the objectives and outcomes for our presentation. First, we're going to describe the purpose and principles of the Agriculture Experience Tracker. Then we'll identify the hardware and gear necessary to effectively utilize AET. Then provide a brief overview of the features of AET. Then apply it to the potential uses within an Ag, Food, and Natural Resources, or AF&R program. And finally, we'll suggest a potential plan for integration of AET into a classroom. So let's get started. All right, let's use AET. AET is an online platform that allows students to track hours, financial data, and other records for their Supervised Agricultural Experience, or SAE program. An SAE is a project, essentially, that students can pick, whether depending on their interest area. So if I have an interest in equine science, I could work at a local horse stable, or I could raise some horses in my backyard and track their health and data records and turn it into an agri-science fair project. So students can have a placement project, which is where they work for someone, an entrepreneurship project where they start their own business and track financial records. They could do a research project, which is where they conduct an experiment, or an exploratory project where they do a community service project of some sort, or just explore the different facets of agriculture. I first used AET as a 9th grade student in FFA when I began tracking my records for my Supervised Agriculture Experience. And the Supervised Agriculture Experience is a component of many agricultural education classes, but it is also a part of the National FFA organization. So students who have successful SAE enterprises are eligible to apply for FFA awards and grants, such as the Proficiency Awards or STAR Awards, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So AET allows students to track financial data for their SAEs, log hours and activities within their SAEs, and also apply for those FFA awards. So got gear. AET does require internet connection. So we can use a laptop, a computer, an iPad, or even a cell phone app. The AET has developed their own app in order to access the AET. While you do need internet connection, you wouldn't necessarily need to be a one-to-one school to effectively implement AET, so long as you provide students with an opportunity to use a desktop computer at school. Again, I've mentioned this in every single one of my Tech Byte presentations this semester, but the challenge here is equitable on-demand access, especially with SAE. You really want students to take pictures and keep their records as they're going throughout their projects. So if you want to use AET in your classroom quite regularly, it's going to be challenging to implement if you're not a one-to-one school, or if students don't have access to a computer at home, because then they're not going to be able to log as regularly as a student who does have access, and that's not the most equitable. So going to features at a glance, I would rate AET as a 9 out of 10. And I'm a little bit biased because I'm an agricultural education major and I've been very involved with AET as a high school and even a college student. But there are some kinks that still need to be worked out, and I completely agree that not everything in technology is perfect and there's always opportunities to improve. So some of the greatest benefits of AET, in my opinion, are there's many different venues and mediums in which you can access AET. You can use your phone, your computer, a tablet, pretty much anything that connects to the internet. Secondly, it can be used in the field, and you can use it to directly upload pictures for your FFA application. So for a proficiency award that a student could apply for, say they get a lot of dollars or hours for their SAE in a particular year, they can apply for what is called a proficiency award to demonstrate their proficiency, hence proficiency award, for their particular SAE program. And in order to do that, you have to include between, I believe it's 5 to 10 pictures of you in your SAE program, demonstrating that you are performing tasks and skills in the field. So take pictures, directly upload to AET. It's a great feature. Third, it can connect to the FFA chapter website. So this is more from a logistical standpoint. As an FFA advisor and ag instructor, you can hook up your students' AET record books to the FFA chapter website, and you can use just AET as the platform for public relations as well as student data management as well. And lastly, you can easily evaluate and communicate with your students. So SAE, from a teacher perspective, has a teacher evaluation tab, so you can go in there and you can log in and view all of your students' records and SAEs to make sure that they are chugging away at their hours and they're actually updating their records, you can see when they logged it. So if they're backdating 3 months, you can deduct some points perhaps, if that's in your policy book, for not completing those records on time and in a timely fashion. Some critiques that I do have about AET, however, is that schools must purchase subscriptions. So a lot of the tools that I've talked about this semester are free, and all teachers are able to use them regardless of their financial situations, but schools have to purchase subscriptions. Perkins dollars can generally help alleviate those costs because it can be geared towards FFA or agriculture education depending on how your school works, but it does cost quite a bit of money, and that's currently one of the biggest critiques I have. And also, it can be very challenging for students to get the hang and feel of AET the first couple times they're using it. But after a while, it's pretty natural to go in and enter those records and data. And it gets pretty second nature almost for students just to log in and put their information in there to access and use in those award applications. But just some of the features and buttons are kind of placed in awkward spots right now. And we'll kind of look at that in a little bit when I give you a quick tutorial and demo, but overall, it's a great tool, and I'm looking forward to using it as a teacher. All right, so some potential uses for agriculture, food, and natural resource programs. So general classroom use, as I mentioned, tracking and scoring hours for SAE and other related projects. So for me as a teacher, I hope to require SAE as a classroom experience. So I'm hoping about 15% of their final course grade will be just based off of their SAE and tracking those hours and giving a presentation at the end to summarize their learning. So it's going to be a great tool for me to track those hours and do everything paperless, not have to worry about that in the classroom. Also, it's a great tool for communicating with students and their parents as well. I could send out a message to all FFA members or Ag Ed students with information about SAE or about FFA or upcoming field trips that they're interested in. On the other hand, with FFA, it's great for hosting the program website. So my fall practicum experience instructor uses the AET website form to sync, as I mentioned earlier, student accounts with the AET website. And it's great. The website's very easy and functional to use as a teacher and as a student. It's also great for applying for awards. So all national and state FFA degree and proficiency award applications are hosted through the AET website, and the national chapter award application is as well, which recognizes outstanding agricultural education programs across the state and nation. So applying for those awards is very easy, and you can literally just pull out data that you've gotten from your students and from the community throughout the year through your record keeping for those apps. And lastly, communicating with FFA state staff. It's a great way to troubleshoot within AET. So long gone are the days when you had to send Excel spreadsheets and Microsoft Word documents to the state FFA staff and advisors to review documents. You can just tell them the student that they want to look for, and they can troubleshoot their financial data or accounts as they're applying for those FFA applications just within the AET program. So it's a great resource to communicate between student, teacher, and state FFA staff. So how to use it, an integration method. So first off, these are the steps to success. You need to ensure that all students have internet access and a digital device. Again, provide students with these tools if they don't already have them. Be intentional about that in your classroom. Second, secure a chapter FFA ID, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second, or plug that in so you know what that looks like. Third, you need to create an AET teacher account and student accounts for your students. Again, the price is based off of how many students you have in your program. So if you have 300 unduplicated students, it's going to cost a lot more than 100 unduplicated students. Then also utilize YouTube tutorials. I know my high school agriculture instructor has a variety of different tutorials that he has created for his classroom, and there's also some tutorials online for how to use AET from a teacher and student perspective. And lastly, as I've included in all of my Tech Byte presentations, help students troubleshoot, really be there for your students and make sure that if they have questions that those get answered. So with that, I'd love to give you a quick overview of AET. So if you type in theaet.com, you'll head over to this website. Hit login. So I'm going to insert my information. The FFA chapter is MN0096. So that's the program that I'm originally from. It's going to vary depending on where you're from in the state of Minnesota or what program you're in. I'm going to enter my password and information. I'm logged in. Great. So here is my student dashboard. So here I can update my profile. I can enter hours in my journal, maybe enter some financial information, and then access some reports and some applications that I can use as an FFA member. So first we'll get started with the profile. There's a lot of different things you can do here. One thing that's really important as a teacher is ag class schedule. So what I can do is declare an ag pathway. So for me, I'm agribusiness because ag education is technically in the ag business systems pathway. And then in order for Mr. Miron, my high school ag teacher, to access my data and grade me, he's going to have me in class. So I can go up here and add a class. Obviously, I'm not in high school anymore, so I'm not going to say that I'm in animal health and vet science, but if I was, I would just go over here and click add, and I'd be enrolled in Mr. Miron's animal health class. So pretty slick, pretty easy. So then you can go over to the journals and you can add additional hours to your SAE. So first you have to set up an SAE. Pretty easy. So these are all of my SAEs. I've had some supervised ag experiences as a college student through being a teaching assistant. I've used those to apply for various FFA awards. But I have some records from my high school years that are here. So setting up an AET experience or an SAE is pretty easy. You just go to add new, give it a name. So example. And your level and focus, so most of them are probably going to be individual. And then again, here are those 4 different types of SAEs. So we have exploratory, agri-science, research, placement, and entrepreneurship. So you would select the one that's most appropriate for you and the category. And then a subcategory isn't necessary, but it's an option. And then you would hit save, and you'd be on your merry way. So entering hours is pretty easy too. All you have to do is select time in your AET projects. I'm going to select this just hypothetically. My activity was analyzing how trends in technologies and public policies impact systems in AF&R. And if I put in 3 hours and 10 minutes, that'd be perfect. I could insert those pictures to include in my application for later on. If one of my ag teachers supervised me, I could put their information there, and they can also add additional photos as well. And then I could save it or save and enter another record as well. Okay, so if I wanted to review my journal entries, I could go back to the appropriate year. 2016, I had a lot of different things in here. So you can enter hours, you can backdate too. If you forget to enter hours for your SAE, you can go back and put those in a few months after the fact. You can enter and track community service activities. This is also helpful for college applications for students if they're interested in that. You can track time and awards and stock shows, conventions, and FFA meetings. Really great tool. Finances, you can enter your paycheck. I'm not going to get into this very well, very in depth because there's some data in here, but it's just a great option. A lot of times students will have paychecks to enter, but it's pretty easy to do that. All you have to do is just go into entering your SAE paycheck, for example, and then select the date you got the paycheck and enter your information as needed. And then lastly, your reports. So you can go through and print a summary of your journal entries. Pretty nice. It tells you how many hours. So over the course of my 6 years in FFA, I invested 7,433.6 hours within my SAE and FFA activities, and that has all been tracked through the AET. You can also generate a fictitious or sample resume that you can use as a template, and you can also print your FFA degrees and applications. So here I have a variety of different applications. So I applied for the FFA Star and Agri-Science Award and the American Degree application. So I can click on those to view my submitted application and edit them. And then the state staff can also go in and pull and edit my app as well for grammar or provide me with some feedback as well. So with that, these are the key aspects and features of the Agriculture Experience Tracker. I hope that you find use for it in your Agriculture, Food, and Natural Resources program, and that this presentation was informative. So thanks very much for tuning in, and have a great rest of your evening.